And welcome everyone to another Smart Money Circle episode. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is Thierry Bernard, who's the CEO of Qiagen, which is ticker symbol QGEN. Terry, thank you so much for taking the time and welcome to the Smart Money Circle.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So, Terry, I always like to begin. Can you please tell us your story and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Interestingly enough, perhaps, Adam, Qiagen is a company dedicated to molecular biology. I'm not a scientist myself. However, more than 20 years ago, I discovered and I believe I had a calling for life science and biology and diagnostic. I was very intrigued and amazed by the power and the value of the combination between engineering, biology and chemistry, and bioinformatics. And therefore, I've spent the last 20 years of my life in healthcare, life science, and diagnostic in different positions of different management scope, strategy, sales, a lot of marketing, investor relation. I was preparing myself to become a CEO, and I've done that across many geographies. I've been working and living in Europe, in the US many times, but also in Asia Pacific, China. And that broad perspective, that international perspective, is really shaping also the way I lead Qiagen today by relying on many empowered people all over the world and making decisions as close as possible to customers.
I love that. So, by the way, I also love biotech companies and anyone or anything that's working to help humans live better and healthier. Please and thank you with a cherry on top. So, thank you very much for the work you're doing. Let's talk about the business. Please tell us what you do at Qiagen and some of your competitive advantages.
So, for the last 40 years, Qiagen has been dedicated to develop solutions for research, academia, but also clinical laboratories, pharmaceutical companies based on molecular biology. So I don't want to get too technical today, but it's very worth highlighting that biology has been going through a revolution in the last 40 years, and this is called molecular biology. The ability to target the DNA or RNA of any kind of organism to develop a solution. And it's fair to say that in this field of molecular biology, Adam, there is really a before and after Qiagen. It sounds arrogant, but why do I say that? Because before Qiagen, any researcher, any laboratory wanting to do molecular biology had to go through a very tedious, complex workflow, having many rooms because DNA flies, you see, so contaminations happen a lot of the time. And then came Qiagen with a very standardized way of extracting and isolating nucleic acid in your sample, whether it was a blood sample, a swab sample, any kind of sample. And we did that with a very simple device that was very standardized. And this was a revolution for any researcher, any clinical lab in the world. As a matter of fact, Adam, we are very proud at Qiagen that more than 35 Nobel Prize winners are using Qiagen solutions.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's really, really fantastic. So you were able to take molecular biology, use the RNA, help people. Basically, it's open source, if I understand you properly. Anyone doing work can use your technology to improve the DNA testing and help find solutions to problems through that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. 3 years ago, I was invited to Cambridge in the UK to give a kind of presentation on the future of diagnostics. And I had an audience of roughly 400 PhDs from all over the world. And I started the presentation with one single question, simple. Who in this audience knows Qiagen? I had 400 hands raised. This is amazing. You will never meet a PhD, a researcher in biology telling you that they don't know Qiagen because they all have used that fantastic product for sample technology. Then obviously over the years, we developed other solutions, but that ability to leverage our positioning in sample technology to then take market position in other molecular biology application is a fantastic leverage.
I absolutely love that. Congratulations on that. That's super, super fantastic. So let's talk about a few things here. Let's talk about risk management. How do you handle risk as being in the biotech space for 20 plus years? And what are some lessons you've learned about risk management that you'd like to share with the audience?
So let's start by saying that Qiagen is typically what I call a mid-cap company, a very dedicated. I love focus. I love focus. We develop molecular tools for research, academia, clinical, pharma, biotechs, even law enforcement authorities. And so when I say mid-cap, it's around 6,000 employees all over the world, $2 billion revenues. We are listed in Europe. We are listed in the US. We are a member of the DAX index. And so since we are very global, obviously, we do not live in an isolated island. We follow the economic evolutions, the political evolution. And so one of the first risk management for me is focus. When you are a mid-cap, you need to invest, especially your research and development effort, into where you can take between the number 1 and the number 3 position on the market. If you cannot prove that you can get those positions, number 1 to number 3, it's going to be a tough battle. Why? Because below those positions, you will face bigger companies. Those kind of fights, they end up in price war, and a mid-cap never wins a price war. And one of the good things with that focus is that we have a pricing power. The second is diversity. We cover a tremendous range of potential customers. In fact, we are talking about more than 500,000 customers every year. What I mean by this is research lab, academia, as I said before, pharma company, clinical, private or public laboratories, even law enforcement. You would be surprised to know that in forensic activities, identification of body, identification of sexual assault, one Qiagen product is used every 24 seconds in the world.
Wow. Wow. That's big. That's very, very big. Okay, so from a risk management standpoint, what you're saying is a lot of people get distracted. It's very easy to look at the next shiny object and bing, 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 bing. Your superpower is stay focused on the highest priority, the highest ROI activity, and then go down from there. Is that correct?
You focus in a limited number of activities where you can take the leadership. You focus on profitable growth. Growing is nice, but you need to grow profitably. If you look at the P&L of Qiagen, it's one of the most, if not the most competitive among our peers. And as you said, you focus on ROIC as well. I mean, whether you invest into new merger and acquisition, whether you invest into organic development, or even by acquiring your own shares, you need to be driven by that obsession with return on capital invested.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Okay, let's talk about the next question would be, let's talk about timeless lessons that you've learned that you'd like to share with the audience, please.
Well, I think I'm coming to an age, Adam, that for me, the main lesson is always stay close to people. Humility, the fact that you can be the CEO of the company, but when you have the courage to admit to your team, but I don't know it all, it's not because I'm the CEO that I know it all. So humility. Empathy. I know that empathy sometimes is a very, it's not considered to be a business value. For me, it's a business value. Because obviously, we have different assets at Qiagen, but one of our main assets is our people.
Yes.
And whether those people are in Mexico, in China, in Germany, or in the US, I want to be close to them. I want to have constant interaction to understand what are their daily challenges. Why are some process potentially in the company, in our company, do not work anymore? Why do we need to change them? There are many things that they see at that level that I will not see anymore. At the same time, there are many things that I see that they don't see. And that combination, by staying close to them, is really important. Last but not least, I tend to always tell my team, we are number one at Qiagen in many activities. Said it's good to be number one, but there are two challenges coming with being number one. You become very easily complacent and arrogant. I hate those. I hate those, especially arrogance and complacency. So if you look at our company today, even where we are number one, we continue to invest in research and development to keep that edge and to maintain that leadership position.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, I think that's really, really brilliant because a lot of people in your shoes, or as they're growing the ladder, they kind of almost don't even pay attention because of that arrogance or that ego to where they were or other people supporting them. But the fact that you're at that 30,000 view foot, you can see things that they can't see, and they can't can see things that you can't see. The fact that you get close there is brilliant. So absolutely well, super well done. It's almost like two people playing chess. The third person can see moves that those two can't see because they're in it. The other guy's not in it. So I love that.
Absolutely, Adam. But also for me, if I may, it's absolutely paramount to spend time on the shop floor. You know, people behind the manufacturing line, the production line. So anytime I'm in Europe or in our sites in the US or in China, I make sure that I spend time also on the shop floor, spending time on the field, you see, with our people in the trenches, fighting every day to provide our customers with solutions. So spending time with customers as well. The worst, you see, is stop listening to customers. I know that there is a cliche of companies organizing meeting when you have an empty chair, and this is the customers. We are not doing that at Qiagen, but I can tell you there is no single meeting of relevance where customers are not giving their input.
Absolutely love it. Okay, beautiful. So, and that speaks to the humility part, and I absolutely love it. Okay, the other side of that question would be the mistakes. What are some timeless mistakes either you've made, you see other people make, and how do you learn from them so you don't keep repeating them?
You know, the drivers for Qiagen, the market drivers, are incredible. Uh, the population in the world is aging, so they will need more tests, more research. We are there. We are in a field where innovation creates new growth horizons, I would say, on a yearly basis. Just a few examples. Who was talking 10 years ago about liquid biopsies? You see, now it's becoming a standard in oncology. We are there. 3 years ago, people starting to pay attention to what we call minimal residual diseases in oncology. We are there as well. What do I mean by this? When you are living in such a dynamic environment, one potential mistake, once again, is to spread the company too thin. You see, the power of innovation, it's key to invest in innovation, but at the same time, okay, it has to pay off. I can have hundreds of scientists at Qiagen going into different fields of innovation. At the end, it needs to create a very coherent R&D aiming at, once again, driving profitable growth. So the main mistake for me is spreading a company too thin, clearly, and forgetting, as I said before, to remain very close to people. I believe that companies that are very hierarchical, where the weight of the hierarchy is preventing people from taking initiative, those companies are dinosaurs. They are dead. I'm not at the top of a pyramid, Adam. I am merely at the center of a circle, and my role is to pass information at the speed of light.
Absolutely love it. And that ties to your earlier point too about being focused.
Absolutely. Once again, you see, $2 billion revenues, it's not small, but it's not huge. 6,000 people, how do I see those two numbers? We have an obligation to remain extremely agile. If a company of our size is not agile, it would be a disaster, especially in that volatile environment. You see, wars in some geographic regions, hyperinflation at the time, economic uncertainties, financial uncertainties, discussion around funding for research. We need to be extremely agile. We need to be able to shift a direction in a quarter. At the same time, we need to always keep sense of long term. We have a vision. We invest where we believe it creates value for our shareholders. And I believe, Adam, I fully respect, we are listed, so I fully respect the market, but you do not assess the quality of a company on a yearly result, let alone on a quarterly result. However, Qiagen will celebrate now, I think it's our 25th or 26th quarter on guidance, both on the top line of and on EPS. And that sense of execution is key as well, obviously.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Okay, and then by the way, that's a great point too okay, phenomenal. So next question, I'd like to talk to you about leadership. I love what you said about the hierarchy. I love what you said about not having it too top, having circles instead. What makes a great leader? What are some lessons about leadership that you'd like to share with the audience that we haven't already discussed? And anything else about the subject of leadership, please?
It's very simple. A leader needs to remain approachable. And I want to make it clearly known and felt at Qiagen that anybody in the company can approach me, can send me an email, can send me a message, challenging also. I'm not here to recruit yes men. If I recruit yes men, it's the end of this company. I want also to surround myself with people that are much better than me and what they do. So approachability is clear. This sense again of staying close to your people, making sure that you always make them see that you understand their challenge, that you are not, you said before, 30,000 feet. I might for some strategic views, obviously, but they need to feel that I understand their challenge and I can try to help them fixing them as well.
Yeah.
And last but not least, it's setting clear directions. And then you empower your people. I believe in empower. This is, by the way, an action plan and a program at Qiagen, which is now lasting for the last 6 years. And we constantly challenge ourselves whether we empower our people enough. I prefer someone who is going to make a mistake once, not twice, obviously, then they know the consequence, to someone that is not doing anything. That's clear for me.
Yeah, that is so powerful. Okay, beautiful. And then next question, I guess I want to ask you about adversity. So becoming successful, you have to overcome adversity. How do you handle adversity, and what are some obstacles you had to overcome along the way?
You know, when I was asked to take over, the Qiagen company was in a kind of turmoil. It was at the end of 2019. It was a change of CEO. The previous CEO had been CEO for 15 years, you see, so people were used to him, obviously. I announced that we were dropping one of our massive research and development program because I think it was necessary to do so for the company because, again, I believe in focus. And COVID was starting. So basically, it was a very teaching. But I believe you face adversity by being really transparent and straightforward with people. I think I always tell our Qiageners, this is how we call our team, our Qiageners, we are far from being a perfect company, and I explain why. I want them also to be savvy, to be knowledgeable. Different things like finance for non-financial is a compulsory training at Qiagen. If you don't follow that training, you're not part of the team. For the people that are not scientists, biology for non-biologists is a compulsory because I want everybody from HR, from finance to understand what we are doing. And last but not least, for example, in the last 3 years, we created an artificial intelligence university of Qiagen, and everybody, it's compulsory, has to go there. as well, including myself, including the executive committee. So you face adversity by recognizing your weakness and trying to address them one by one, by being transparent with people, with feeding them with information. How do you want them to take decision if they don't have the information, even information that hurts? I don't believe, oh, we shouldn't share that. No, we share it. We share it because we gave them the knowledge to understand. To understand. So, and last but not least, I come back to the same. Stick to your focus. When you are a vision, things are not necessarily going to happen in 3 months. Sometimes I said we need to be agile, but sometimes it takes a bit more than to move the boat, you see, and to turn the ship around. But as long as you have that vision and focus and you are telling the truth, you can navigate and weather a lot of challenges.
Absolutely love it. That's brilliant. So, okay, final question for you today, Terry, is what is the best piece of advice you'd like to give the audience or your 30-year-old self?
The main one is leave your ego in the courtroom, you see, and surround yourself with people that are much better than you in what they do. Diversity is important. I absolutely insisted that my executive committee, we are a German headquartered company, and I have a deep respect for our roots in Germany. But I didn't want our executive committee to be only Germans working from Germany. So we have people at the executive committee based and located in the US, in Europe, in different countries in Europe. That diversity is very important. And last but not least, curiosity, curiosity, curiosity. I think if there is something that I share a lot with our team, apart from the vision, the results, and where we need to go next, is a lot of books to read, articles to read, because keeping our antennas wide open all the time is a key success factor and a condition for survival.
I absolutely love it. Well, Terry, thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom with us. Congrats on all your success. Hopefully, next time we speak, you'll be a large cap company because you're right there and knocking on that door. And this was absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for the time.